Just want to give you a quick video on how to clock in and out of iCare Manager. So I'm currently logged into iCare Manager. I'm on my homepage, and I am in my test guy, Abraham Lincoln. So if this was you, you would see your name up here. And you're going to go ahead and click on your name to clock in. And you see you have the option to go ahead and just click clock in. Now here, you'll see tabs for regular work, or you'll see a tab for training. So first I'm going to show you regular work, and I'm going to show you a couple different programs as well. So the programs where you see pick program or location where you're clocked in, you're going to go ahead and click on this, and all of the programs or homes that you have access to will be listed here. So if you do not see a home or a program that you should have access to, or you're seeing a home or a program that you don't work in and you shouldn't have access to, please notify your supervisor so that we can correct your access within iCare Manager so that it is correct for you. As Abraham Lincoln, I have the ability to clock into several homes as well as our support services or personal supports, okay? If I was working as a Meaningful Day staff member, I would have that option here as well. Clocking into Meaningful Day is going to be the same process as clocking into residential, so I'm going to show you that. For this example, I'm going to go ahead and say I'm working at our Kirsch home today. Over here for Pick a Person, if you are clocking into a residential home or for Meaningful Day, you do not have to pick a person. Picking a person is just for personal supports and support services. So I will show that later on. But here you will see different job codes. Depending on what I have been trained as, what I have been approved to work at as within this home, these are the job codes that are going to show. So if I was trained as a CNA, I would see the option to go ahead and clock in as maybe an FLA CNA. But my employee profile shows that I'm not a CNA. Maybe I'm only working as a second within our Kirsch home. So I only have the option to clock in as an awake overnight or one-on-one, FLA or WFLD at this location. Okay, so for this, I'm going to say I'm clocking in as an FLA. I'm going to click on this. You want to make sure that the one that you are clocking in at is highlighted and it is green. You do have to pick a job code. It's not going to let you clock in without picking a job code. So you want to make sure that that job code is correct for the location and the type of work that you are doing today. Here for the date and time, this is going to be the date and time that you first loaded this screen. So I've been on this screen for a little while explaining things, so you can see that's a little off. This says 7:46. My computer says that it's 7:49. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this and change this. Go to the time and bump that up. And then I'm going to say clock in. And that's me clocked in. I get a nice little confirmation screen, tells me the location. If it was personal supports or support services, it would tell me the person that I had selected. It gives me my clock in date and time, and it gives me the job code that I clocked in at. Okay, so I can go ahead and click off of this. You'd go about your day doing whatever it is that you need to do, working in Care Tracker, working with the people that we serve, and then at the end of your shift, you would come back in, and to clock out, you would click on your name again. And you can see the system saying I'm already clocked in, so my only option is to clock out right now. So I'm going to go ahead and click clock out. I don't have to choose the location. I don't have to choose my job code. All of that is there for me based on my clock in. So this is going to show me the date and time when this page was first loaded. So this is correct. So I'm going to go ahead and click clock out. And then I get another confirmation screen. And this one gives me my total, basically. Gives me a clock in date and time, a clock out date and time, and the duration. Hopefully you're working more than 1 minute on your shift, but that is my duration for this particular example. Okay, I'm going to show you one more, and that is for our personal supports, because again, if it's meaningful, if you're clocking into Meaningful Day, it's the same thing as residential. So I'm going to go ahead and click clock in. And for this one, I'm going to say working with support services or personal supports. And in this case, I do have to pick a person. For my test guy, did he not work? There we go. For my test guy, he had access to a whole bunch of people. If you are working in support services or personal supports and you see a whole bunch of names in there that does not apply to you, please let me know. You should only see the people that you are specifically assigned to. So this guy is going to be working with Donald Duck today. My job code gives me the option, but you guys won't have this. I just wanted to show the difference. If I was a contractor with support services, only the contractor would show up for me as a job code. And if I was not a contractor and I was employed with Bell & McCree working in support services, then it would be FSA would be my job code. So I just want to show contractors that you are in here as well. It just depends on what you're entered in as for your employee profile. So in this case for Abraham Lincoln, I'm going to say he's an employee, and we're going to click FSA for the job code. Make sure it's highlighted and it's green. I want to double check that date and time. 7:51. Again, I was kind of on the screen for a little while, so I can change that. Clock in there. Again, go about my day, do what I need to do, and then to clock out. Again, I don't have to select anything. It already gives me the person, tells me what location I was in. All I have to do is click clock out. Just make sure that that time is correct. And I'm done, okay? The other thing that I want to show you is clocking in and out for a training. So you're going to come up here to clock in just like you would for a regular clock in. And instead of regular work, you're going to click on this tab for training. The job code that comes up here is going to be your primary job code, and that's set by HR. So for Abraham Lincoln, it's FLA. If you're an FLD, you're going to see FLD. If you're an FSA, you're probably going to see FSA there. So it all depends on what your primary job code is from HR. But I do want to remind you, even though there's only one job code here, I still need you to click it. It needs to be highlighted. It needs to be green. You have to pick a job code, even if it's just one job code, okay? Again, you want to check that date and time. Looks like I wasn't on this screen for that long, so I'm going to go ahead and clock in. Gives me a nice little confirmation page. I don't need to say what type of training it was or anything like that. And then when the training is done, I'm going to clock out just like I do for working in a program or a house. And I'm going to go ahead and click clock out. Okay. So clocking in and out through iCare Manager is super, super simple. But I do want to show you if maybe you need to make an adjustment to your time. Maybe you forgot to clock in or clock out. That's happened to me several times. So I want to show you how to make those corrections or edits to your time card. So you want to come up to your name and you want to go to my time card. Instead of clocking in, you want to go to my time card. And here you want to come up here to add clock in or out. And again, you have the option to do regular work or training. So in this case, I want to add something to my regular hours. It's not going to be training that I add. And I'm going to pick my location that I should have clocked into. In this case, you know, I completely forgot to clock in altogether. Maybe I worked at Sunset. Again, I'm working at a house in residential. I do not have to pick a person. And I'm going to say that I was working as an FLA. And I'm going to pick my date. So you cannot pick back from previous pay periods. Obviously, we can't add time to a pay period that's already closed out. But you can select within this pay period. So this particular pay period started on the 18th. And you can't, also just a note, you can't add time in the future. We've discussed that before when we trained on attendance. You can't add attendance in the future. You can't add your time in the future. You want to make sure that you actually work the time before you're putting it in the system. This is a real-time system, okay? So maybe I need to go back. Maybe I forgot to clock in and out on the 19th. So I can go ahead and pick a previous date within this pay period. And then to select the time, I'm going to come here and maybe I, started working at 3 p.m. And here you see this is the date for the clock in and out. This is the date that I came into this system. So if you were going back, like in this case, I went back to the 19th, please make sure that you were changing your clock out date as well. make sure these two dates match up, okay? And I'm gonna say that I worked, maybe I worked until 8 that night. And I'm gonna do a save. And then if you wanna see all of your time for this pay period, you wanna come up to pay period ending on, and this particular pay period ends on the 31st. This is not the start date of the pay period, this is the end date of the pay period, okay? So I wanna see what my current pay period is. I could also pick a custom date. So maybe I wanted to see 1 week at a time, maybe I wanted to see, you know, multiple pay periods at a time. I can do that. I can pick a starting date and an ending date, and I can do that, okay? But in this case, I want to pick my pay period. I'm gonna go ahead and say generate this report. And this is gonna give me all of the time that I clocked in and out during this pay period. Now I had some other test punches in here for you guys to see, because as I kind of went through this video, you can see the duration for some of these is only a minute or 0 minutes. So I did do some extra ones so that you could see what it would actually look like. Because what you want to make sure when you come in here is that everything has a start date and an end date. You have a clock in and a clock out. Obviously, you can't get paid if you just have a clock in or just a clock out. So it's going to have both. I would draw your attention to the duration. Make sure that your duration is correct. I had this when I was first getting used to it, and I forgot to clock out one day. And so I added the clock out the next day, but I wasn't paying attention to the date. And my duration was like, I think it was like 23 hours or something like that. So please make sure that your duration makes sense. If it's too long or it's too short, then it means your date or your clock in outer time is incorrect, okay? Also, pay attention to your program or location. Make sure that they were the correct program or location. Pay attention to your job code. That does affect how you get paid. Make sure that it is the correct job code for you. And then, so say maybe one of these was incorrect. Maybe I didn't work, you know, 9 hours. Maybe I worked 10 hours that day or something. And I'm looking at this and I'm going, that's wrong. I actually didn't leave until after 8 a.m. So in this case, I'm going to come over to actions, press this arrow and say, I want to edit this. And you can see your clock in date and time and your clock out date and time. If maybe I selected the wrong job code, I could change that. If I selected the wrong location, I could change that. You can change all of this, okay? So in this case, I'm going to change my clock out time. And I'm going to say it actually was 8:15 a.m. And I'm just going to say save, and that updated it for me, okay? If maybe I looked at some of this, maybe one of the ones that we tested today, this one for the Kirsch home, if I looked at that and I said, that's wrong altogether, I didn't mean to clock in there, I actually meant to clock out somewhere else, then I can come to actions and I can say delete this altogether. Okay. Another great thing for you guys to look at is you have the ability to see your history. So if you made some changes to this, or if you asked your supervisor to maybe make a change for you, you can come to view history, show history log, and it will show your original one and what it is that you changed. See, this was our original for 9:15. You can see what it was. You can see, you know, who put that in, and then you can see what it is now, and you can see who made that change. Okay, go ahead and close that out. So maybe this is what my time card looks like for an entire pay period. And if that is the case, at the end of the pay period, by on payroll Monday, by 8 a.m., which is the same thing that it is now, by 8 a.m., you need to submit your time card. So if you can see, the status for all of these time punches is open right now. We want to change that to submit. That's you telling your supervisor, my time card is ready for your review and approval, so that my time can get processed and I can get paid correctly. So you want to come over to actions and you want to go ahead and hit submit. Okay, now what's coming to you is the ability to just select all and submit it all at one time. I'm hoping that that is coming very soon. That's something that ICM is working on for us, but for now you're just going to come through and do submit really quickly for all of these. Okay. but it doesn't take that long to do that, but it's gonna be, you know, an even shorter period of time when you can just go ahead and select all and say submit all at one time, okay? So by 8 a.m. on payroll Mondays, you want to make sure that all of your time is correct and that you have submitted everything. If you don't submit it, your supervisor is not going to know that it is ready for their review and approval. And your supervisor is also on a pretty tight deadline for payroll Mondays. So we all have certain times that we need to get things into payroll in order for us to get paid correctly. So please make sure that your time card is submitted by 8 a.m. on payroll Monday, okay? Also want to bring up to you, I can't show you this right now with my test die, but if you had sick or vacation that you entered into the Sage Employee Self-Service Portal, that will get transferred over into your time card, and you will see that here. You'll see sick or you'll see vacation or whatever it may be. That will come over once you enter that time to be approved within the Sage Employee Self-Service Portal, and then your supervisor approves it. Then it will be transferred over into iCare Manager. So if you added sick and vacation time at the last minute, which is not ideal, we want to try to be adding sick and vacation time and doing all of our clock in and clock outs within iCare Manager in real time as much as possible. But if you waited until the last minute to add sick or vacation, you might not see your sick and vacation here at 8 a.m. on payroll Monday because your supervisor might not have had a chance to go in and approve it in order for it to come over into iCare Manager, okay? So that's something just to keep in mind. If you are submitting sick and vacation time in a timely manner within real time, and you're not seeing your sick and vacation here, then I would contact your supervisor before 8 a.m. on payroll Monday and say, hey, I submitted this, you know, maybe I submitted this on Wednesday. I'm not seeing this in my time card. That's something that you would want to follow up with your supervisor on to make sure that you get paid correctly, okay? So that is clocking in and clocking out and submitting your timesheet sort of in a nutshell for all of our DSPs. If you have any questions, please let your supervisor know, and we will go ahead and look into whatever problems it is that you are having. All right, thank you.